Welcome to the Win Streak's preview and predictions of all 32 NFL teams for the upcoming 2017 season. Over the next few weeks, I will be covering all 32 teams, so please subscribe on YouTube or the podcast platform you're listening on so you don't miss an episode. My name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Win Streak News, Facebook.com/The Win Streak, thewinstreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Production. If you're listening right now on YouTube, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think the regular season record of the Carolina Panthers is going to be when everything is said and done. Contact us at soaringjetsproductions@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our fantasy football league. You can find out more information about our fantasy football league via Facebook. Also, our top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see is now live. If this is the first time you've ever listened to anything that the Win Streak has done, please check out our weekly wrap-up show. Me and my co-host Brandon, we have a great time. It's an hour of pure craziness and joy. So we hope you check it out and we hope you enjoy it. But for now, I am doing the 2017 Carolina Panthers preview and prediction. This is Carolina's 23rd season in the NFL. The 7th season under head coach Ron Rivera. I'm a big Ron Rivera fan. Rivera is a two-time NFL Coach of the Year for 2013 and 2015. He is 50, 37-1 as head coach. He is 3-3 in postseason. After going to the Super Bowl in 2015, the Carolina Panthers fell back down to earth in dramatic fashion, posting a disappointing 6-10 record, good for last place in the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers started 1-5, the worst start since 2004. Ironically, they were also defending NFC champions that year as well. Panthers missed the playoffs for the first time since 2012. The Carolina Panthers are also the only team in NFL history to go 15-1 and miss the playoffs the following year. The Carolina Panthers did have 5 Pro Bowlers, won 4 games at home, only 2 road games. The only one worse than the Panthers are the Eagles. The Eagles, that preview episode I did yesterday, they only won 1 road game, which is just really awful, but it's like so awful it's actually impressive. The owner is also their founder, Jerry Richardson. Jerry Richardson, I like him. He's a really good owner. Definitely not, I'm a New York Jets fan, and he's definitely no Woody Johnson, and that's a good thing. The Carolina Panthers have a really weird and odd general manager situation. I'm not a big fan. If you're going to fire your GM, I think you should do it right after the season is over or on Black Monday. I wouldn't do it just in the middle where, you need a general manager as you cut players and decide who makes the roster, who doesn't make the roster. I just think it's a really dumb decision. If you're going to fire somebody, fire them before they draft these players that are going to remain on your roster for years to come. So they currently have an interim general manager, Marty Herney. Forbes ranks the Panthers as the 22nd most valuable franchise. Carolina has been to two Super Bowls, but never have won one. 2 conference championships, 2003 and 2015. 6 division championships, 5 in the NFC South. 7 playoff appearances, and I found this interesting. Only once have they made it to the playoff as a wild card. They did so in 2005. Moving on to franchise What If. What if Andrew Luck left Stanford a year earlier and got drafted by the Carolina Panthers, who had the number 1 overall pick? it's interesting. Personally, to me, I know Cam Newton gets a lot of hate. I like Cam Newton, but then again, as a Jets fan, I like anybody else's quarterback situation over the Jets. Maybe not the well, even the Browns have a better quarterback situation. I still believe in Brock Osweiler, so maybe you shouldn't listen to me too much when it comes to quarterback. But I believe Brock Osweiler might be something, and Cam Newton's good, but it'd be interesting to see how this team would have done could they beat Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos had they had Andrew Luck under center. Moving on to 2017 outlook for the Carolina Panthers. Unlike last season, the Panthers entered this season without the burden of high expectation, which I say is a really good thing. It's never a good thing to go into a season with a lot of expectations. The only team that really seems to thrive on it is the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. And maybe you could throw in the Pittsburgh Steelers also, but it's really hard when you have this mounting high expectation. It usually doesn't go over well. It doesn't for a lot of teams besides the Patriots. So the Carolina Panthers are flying under the radar this season, definitely. Cam Newton needs to bounce back from a so-so 2016 campaign. Was he playing slowly? Was he hurt? Who exactly knows? Emphasis this year on offense is to get the ball out more quickly, make Cam Newton feel safe, and avoid him running with the ball. Cam is coming off surgery on his throwing arm, or throwing shoulder, I should say, which cost him his entire offseason program. It's going to be interesting when he starts playing preseason games, how far behind he is compared to other players on the team. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, you got to hope he's not too far behind. Carolina is depending on their defense, especially leaning on their defense with Cam Newton still coming back from his shoulder surgery, with several high-paid stars like Luke Ketchie, I know I'm totally butchering his name, Quan Short, veterans, young cornerbacks like James Bradbury. Biggest positive change for me is that Carolina Panthers did a really good job answering all their major question marks they had from last season in free agency. They got speed in Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel. Matt Calley was brought in to address left tackle position. They got a veteran pass rusher in Julius Pepper. Julius Pepper, he used to play for the Carolina Panthers, and now he's back. Nickel corner, they went out and got Captain Mutterland, and strong safety in Mike Adams. So they really did. They went down like they had a grocery list, and it's like, okay, what do we need from the store? Check, 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 check. They did a really good job. The Carolina Panthers, I know everybody proclaimed, and even I did on the Win Streak, our regular episodes that we do, that the Patriots won this offseason. But the Carolina Panthers are right up there. They might have quietly won the offseason, but then again, how do you win the offseason? You really, the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2012 can tell you about that, becoming a dream team, and then it just totally collapsed. So they look promising on paper, and they made a lot of good moves. There's not a lot I can really say negative, but the thing negative I can say is that the Panthers bench isn't as deep as it used to be. They lost assistant general manager and defensive coordinator to the Buffalo Bills. The assistant coordinator or GM, I should say, is now the general manager of the Buffalo Bills, and their defensive coordinator is now the head coach. Weird midsummer firing of their past general manager. Panthers are now shorthanded in personnel at a time of the year when decisions have to be made. Once again, I just don't. If you're going to fire your general manager, do it before the NFL draft. Don't do it after the draft. The Buffalo Bills did that. The Kansas City Chiefs did that. I just don't think it's a good idea. They also lost A.J. Klein to the Saints. That was the biggest roster deduction they had this offseason. Ron Rivera is safe as head coach, and of course Cam Newton is going to be the starter for the Carolina Panthers this season, unless he gets hurt. Preseason schedule, you start home with the Houston Texans, then you go on the road for 2 games at Tennessee to play the Titans and at Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. You finish up the preseason home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going on to the regular season game by game predictions, the Carolina Panthers have only 2 primetime games this season. I'm actually surprised by that. They have the Eagles on Thursday Night Football, which you could honestly argue is not even Thursday night, doesn't even feel like a primetime night game. And Dolphins on Monday Night Football, which you'll play Jake Cutler as the new quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. You open up the season September 10th at San Francisco. I say worst case, best case scenario, you beat the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers, you can go back and listen to my episode I did on the San Francisco 49ers. I like where they're headed, but this season is going to be brutal for the San Francisco 49ers. September 17th, you open up at home against the Buffalo Bills. Once again, worst case, best case scenario, I say you beat the Buffalo Bills, but your former defensive coordinator is now the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. So if anybody knows your team in and out workings, it's definitely now the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. But I still say you beat the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills don't have as much talent as they don't even come close to having the talent that the Carolina Panthers have. September 24th, you are home for the New Orleans Saints. Worst case scenario, I say you lose this game. Drew Brees and Cam Newton get in a shootout, and I'm going to favor just slightly Drew Brees over Cam Newton. Best case scenario, that Saints defense is just hot garbage. It's not improving at all. And you finish September 3-0, or at worst 2-1. Really, September is a great, if you are a fan of a football team, you really want to open up with this schedule. 49ers, Bills, Saints. That is really easy. I mean, if Carolina goes into October 1-2 or 0-3, just pack it up because they're not making the playoffs this year. Going into October 1st at New England. Worst case, best case, you're definitely going to lose this game. It's really hard to play in Foxborough. I know 1,000 people said it before me. That's not a new hot take, but I say you'll actually give them a close game. The only way I could see the Carolina Panthers beating the New England Patriots is if Tom Brady, he's 40 and he's not playing like he was. He's one of only 4 guys to be in the NFL right now that's over the age of 40 that's still playing. October 8th at Detroit. Worst case scenario, you lose this game. Best case scenario, you win this game. Detroit is always so-so. They're like really streaky anymore. They're either really good or they're really bad. October 12th, home for the Philadelphia Eagles. The only home game that the Carolina Panthers have in October. So a brutal road schedule for the Carolina Panthers, but we'll get to that in a minute. Best case, worst case, I think you can beat the Eagles. I have the Eagles in my last episode. I have them going 8-8. So I don't think they're an incredibly bad team. I just don't think they'll wow anybody and make the playoffs. But I think you'll beat the Eagles. It's going to be one of those more tougher games. The Carolina Panthers have a lot of easy games, really, against a lot of easy teams this season. But Eagles, you need to beat the Eagles to make the playoffs. And then October 22nd at Chicago. Worst case, best case, you definitely have to beat the Bears. I mean, the Bears and the Jets and the 49ers are probably going to be the 3 worst teams in the NFL. And good news for Carolina fans, you play all 3 of these teams. So these should be 3 easy wins off the board at Chicago, at 49ers, and also at Jet in November. So you travel, you're going to have tour the basement of the NFL. And then you finish October 29th at Tampa Bay. I'm really big on the Buccaneers. I say worst case, best case, you lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you enter November At worst, you are 4-4. At best, you are 6-2. But real quick, October at New England, at Detroit, home for the Eagles, at Chicago, and at Tampa Bay. That's a lot of traveling. But the good news is you don't have to leave the East Coast. I mean, you only go into a different time zone one time, and that's in Chicago, Central Time. So it's just a lot of traveling up and down the coast. November 5th, home for the Atlanta Falcons. Worst case scenario, you lose this game. Best case scenario, I can see you beating the Atlanta Falcons at home. The Atlanta Falcons, for me, are a big question mark. I can see the Atlanta Falcons being this season Carolina Panthers, where go to the Super Bowl, super high expectation, and just collapse. Especially seeing how they collapsed in that Super Bowl. I think that loss is going to haunt this franchise for a while. I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are going to bounce right back from this. It's just what an awful loss. November 13th, home for the Miami Dolphins on ESPN Monday Night Football. Best case, worst case, I say you beat the Dolphins. Dolphins have a good defense, but I just don't buy Jay Cutler. But at the same time, people have pointed out already on social media that basically Jay Cutler is a very slightly better but older Ryan Tannehill. So they didn't really downgrade because I was never a big Ryan Tannehill fan. They just got a little bit older quarterback, which I think Jay Cutler kind of have a bad attitude saying about, well, I'm a quarterback, I don't need to be in shape. That's now their starter. I would have personally liked Kaepernick a little bit better. I think he could probably won you a few more games, but I understand the controversy that comes along with Colin Kaepernick. But at the same time, hey, why do you play the game? Famous Jets head coach one time said, you play to win the game. November 26th, speaking of the Jets, you're at New York to play my garbage team. Best case, worst case, I say you beat the New York Jets. So you enter December at worst 6-5. At best, you are 9-2. Okay, let's go into December, where hopefully the Carolina Panthers are making a push to the playoffs. December 3rd, at New Orleans. Best case, worst case, I actually say you beat the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints are going to, I don't think they're going to be challenging anybody for a wild card spot. That defense, like I said, is awful, and it's just going to, in close games, it's going to bend and break, and their opponents are going to keep on winning, so that benefits the Carolina Panthers. December 10th, the Minnesota Vikings, home for the Minnesota Vikings. Worst case, you lose this game. I'm iffy on the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are probably my biggest wild card because I can see them almost being a playoff team, and then I can see them being one of the top 10 worst teams. But best case scenario, you beat the Minnesota Vikings. December 17th, another NFC North team. You have the Green Bay Packers coming to Carolina. Worst case, best case, I say you lose to the Green Bay Packers. The Packers will probably be looking for, at worst, a wild card. At best, they're looking probably for a first round bye because, well, it's the Green Bay Packers and you have Aaron Rodgers. They're always in contention. December 24th, home once again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Worst case, you lose that game. Best case, I say you can actually beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Carolina. And then the final game of the regular season, December 31st at Atlanta. Worst case, best case, I say you lose to the Atlanta Falcons. They're in a new stadium. Hopefully they're not pumping in fake crowd noises, but I think the Falcons will be on the bubble looking for a playoff spot, and it's just going to be a really tough game, and probably it might actually be. I mean, it's kind of a bold prediction for me, but I could actually see this being the final Sunday night primetime game of the regular season. So, best case scenario for the Carolina Panthers, I have them going 12-4. Worst case scenario, I have them going 7-9. So, just missing out on a winning season record. My final prediction is 10-6. I think the Carolina Panthers will go 10-6 this season because they really have a easy schedule. I mean, October, of course, 4 of your 5 games are on the road, but then you have 3 back-to-back home games in December. It's definitely doable, and even in October, you look okay at Patriots, that's hard. At Lions, that's tough, but then you have at Bears, that's really easy. At Jets, at 49ers. So 3 of your road games are against really weak teams. So I would rather go on the road and play weak teams than go and play Seattle and play in Pittsburgh and play in Baltimore, play in Cincinnati. I would take the garbage teams on the road. But yeah, 49ers, Bills, both of the Saints games, Bears, Dolphins, Jets, Vikings offer chances at wins. That's 8 wins right there. 8 week teams. Schedule is perfect to make the playoff, in my opinion, but the NFC South division is going to be rough. I have the New Orleans Saints, I believe, going 8-8. So it's going to be a really tough uh, division for the Carolina Panthers, because right now I have the Saints finishing in 4th place, but they're 8-8. I really think the NFC South is going to be probably the best division. The only other division I can see that could come close is the NFC East, but I have some question marks about the Redskins, not about Kirk Cousins, but that defense and the players they have around him, because let's be honest, they kind of did a downgrade on both sides of the football. But likely, at best, I think that the Carolina Panthers could actually end up winning that division if the Falcons collapse and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers disappoint. But I say more realistically, the Carolina Panthers will be looking for a wild card. And you look at the wild card here, let's see, in the NFC West, you probably only have the Cardinals with a chance at a wild card. I don't see the 49ers and Rams are a no factor. I don't see the Cardinals jumping past the Seahawks to get the NFC West crown. You have the NFC North. Only one from there I could see is the Lions, maybe an outside chance of the Vikings. I see the Packers probably winning that division. You go to the NFC East, you're probably challenging probably a couple teams in the NFC East. You got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles, you got the Giants, and you got the Redskins. Outside of that, maybe, like I said, Cardinals and Lions, maybe perhaps the Vikings, but you're going to be battling the NFC South, your own division rivals, and the NFC East, I believe, for one of the 2 wild card spots. But yeah, at 10-6, I could totally see the Carolina Panthers making the playoffs. They're under the radar. There's no pressure. They still have that great 5-1 team. They have all those pieces still there. They have a great head coach in Ron Rivera. I like the Carolina Panthers, and I think everybody's kind of forgot about them. And it's like, no, hey, they're still here. The Carolina or the Atlanta Falcons stole the Panthers' thunder, but they look really, really good. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they make it back in the playoffs this year. Once again, my name is Corey Foister. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Win Streak News, Facebook.com/TheWinStreak, TheWinStreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is Soaring Jets Production. Drop a comment below if you're on YouTube listening right now. Contact us at soaringjetproductions@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our Fantasy Football League. You can find out more information about that on our Facebook. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see is now live. Check out the regular weekly show that me and my co-host Brandon Myers do. It's a great, crazy, and fun time. But until next time, keep winning, everybody.